Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video here at tablemon. Thank you so much for tuning in. So this past weekend we had Peoria regionals taking place and it was quite the event. We had Kyogre Lost Box winning once again. Both NA regionals have been won by Kyogre Lost Box, the first one being won by Andrew Estrada over at Pittsburgh, and now this time around Raymond Long ended up winning the whole thing with a different list, but we'll talk about that in tomorrow's video most likely. However, this deck featuring VENOMOTH was played by Jake Erwart. Everyone was very happy to see the deck and hyped to see the deck featured on stream for round 4 after a very solid 3-0 start. And yeah, I mean, I will definitely say VENOMOTH was not in my bingo card for decks to even see any sort of play at all, but VENOMOTH is a decent card. Its perplexing powder attack does a measly 30 damage, but your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused, and during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. Now, this is powerful. Why? Because you're giving them at best a 50-50 chance of attacking you, and also they cannot play Switch card, Escape Rope, or Switch in order to remove the healing, the special condition, sorry. And then when you pair that with Speed Up CX with its ability Trap Territory, your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost is colorless more. This means even retreating out of the confusion will be very difficult for your opponent, or at the very least very costly, as they will have to pay a bunch of energy for the retreat cost, and that means they will not be able to have something else powered up, right? And then we are seeing a lot of rare candy decks being featured, of course, such as Charizard and Gardevoir and Chinbao, which does mean that item lock from VENOMOTH could be impactful, especially against Excalibur decks, which were decently popular at the event, and they do not play the middle stage. Charizard only plays 1, Gardevoir does play 4 Kirlias, so probably not great there. But a decent combination can be pretty disruptive, especially if you get the turn 2 VENOMOTH going, which is pretty good, and with a bunch of Speed Up CXs as backup. And now, another reason why this deck definitely has a lot of potential, and well, has a lot of potential is a stretch, definitely felt like it was well positioned, if you will, is because Charizard EX decks were the most popular archetype going into this event, and coincidentally you are a grass type deck, which is definitely unique. There aren't any other grass type decks that are very good at this point in time, and even though VENOMOTH will deal a measly 30 damage to Charizard, if they do manage to set one up, Speed Up CX's attack does 90 damage plus 30 more for each colorless and your opponent's active Pokemon retreat cost. With your ability with at least 1 Speed Up CX, you are adding 1. That means Charizard has 3 retreat cost, which means you're doing 180 damage, but because of weakness, you're 1KOing Charizard EX back with your 2 energy attack. And you are weak to fire, but Charizard EX is not fire type, it is a dark type. So there's a lot going on that under the right circumstances, I could see this deck being, at the very least, a potential decent meta call on a very Charizard heavy metagame. I will say though that Charizard heavy being 15% is not super high, which is what we saw at the regional this past weekend. If it was like in the dominant days of Lugia with 25, 30, 35%, then this would even have, like we would be talking more seriously about Speed Up CX at the very least. But at least for now, unfortunately, this deck did not do well on stream. I'm going to leave some of the highlights from the match right here instead of playing with the deck myself. I'm going to leave you with some of the highlights from the stream and Jake playing the deck. And yeah, I think this deck is, like I said, pretty interesting. Has the Temple of Sinnoh to sort of counter the aromatic energies that Snorlax is now, or that Snorlax would use in order to get rid of confusion. However, with the Unfazed Fat ability, you cannot even confuse the Snorlax. So Lugia seems like a bad matchup for this deck, especially if they have the Snorlax, the colorless version, which was the most popular version at the event as well. So yeah, maybe outside of Charizard, Lost Box seems like a decent matchup. The Speed Up CX obviously complicates any sort of retreat for the deck, and then with VENOMOTH item locking them, unless they get a very strong back-to-back Colress turn, it's gonna be hard. Even attacking with Cramorant, Giratina version probably does well against this deck, as they can't just Abby Seeking until eternity, although they have to flip a coin. You're only threatening 30 damage. I think that's the big deal. Even if they flip tails and they lose the turn, you only threaten with 30 damage next turn if you want to keep up the item lock. And they also do play Jet Energy, which gets countered with Temple of Sinnoh, but you can see how like there's a lot of buts for this deck. The grass typing I think is a good thing going for it, especially in the Charizard DX heavy metagame, but that's where I would say maybe we just play Speed Up CX with something else. Probably not Leafeon VMAX, but maybe Leafeon V-Star, something along those lines. But anyways, here are some highlights of the stream match, which I did get to watch. Hope you enjoy, and if you find anything, like if you found in your testing that this deck is good enough, definitely let me know, because on paper it doesn't seem like it to me, but you never know. If you want to support the channel, you can use code tablemon to get 5% off at Potent Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 10% off on your aluminum accessories at TC Evolutions. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. ¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local C27 en el Centro Comercial Otay.
Just about everything he could want here. Has the Venomoth, has that Radiant Alakazam as well, and even a Boss's Orders to try to stick something active that is going to have a hard time moving, and that is going to be the boss bringing up this Mareep. So the fact that this came into play gave Jake this target, and now what Jake is going to aim to do is Perplexing Powder, put 30 damage onto this Mareep, and then on the next turn what he'll do is he'll use this Radiant Alakazam down here and
spread them out.
Yep, those damage counters, they're going to go to different Pokemon on the bench. You're going to just be effectively doing 1 damage a turn, 10 damage, I should say, with the Perplexing Powder.
Yep.
And it's going to stick this Mareep up here for multiple turns. For that reason, path comes down. This Mareep can now retreat. And we can see the Raikou come up and take a knockout. Venomoth, while it is pretty annoying to play against, it does only have 90 HP. So pretty much anything that is in a competitive meta deck is going to be able to take that out.
I mean, if it confused and made it so you couldn't play item cards and was like 200 HP, I'd be so upset, Chip.
Oh, no. So Connor here...
Oh, he fleet-footed?
Yeah, Path to the Peak being in play means you're unable to utilize the fleet-footed to draw that extra card. A little bit of a mishap here. I think we're just going to have to go for the Lightning Rondo again. You got to hit a heads at some point, right?
50-50 chance. All right, Path to the Peak.
Interesting
coming into
turn
play.
to try to utilize the path.
Yeah, it's going to bump that collapsed stadium here.
And it is a heads hit. That will be a knockout. Connor takes a prize. Jake loses Venomoth.
Side of the field now has the opportunity to play that Boss's Orders. Bruno was the supporter in the last turn to get into those cards, get that stadium, but now Boss's Orders is going to be the choice here to get that Mareep up into the active, keep it there as long as possible, and continue to spread around these damage counters.
And honestly, I mean, I'm being serious when I say this as Connor. I think that you're going for the attack with the Mareep, and you're hoping to flip tails. You're hoping that this Mareep gets KO'd, and that you get the opportunity to bring your Miraidon back to the active spot. Even though you know it's going to get hit and confused, you at least give yourself a chance to do something. You at least give yourself a 50-50 to attack and take a knockout.
Did you ever think you'd be
saying
that,
He's doing it. He's
Chip?
doing it. And he does flip heads.
It is a heads.
And you can see Connor even shaking his head, kind of saying, I wanted tails in that spot.
Back to get into this moment here now. Of course, we saw that Iono. Chip, you were talking about great time for Connor to play it before he takes these prize cards, but not a great time to see it if you're on Connor's side from your opponent, only being able to draw into 2 cards off of that Iono. And then we're back into the Perplexing Powder being getting onto the field here, and that Raichu V is now confused.
Arven will be utilized, searching the deck for a tool card and an item card. Of course, the item not able to be played, but that
Tools.
Bravery Charm, yeah, it's fair game.
30 damage on that Raichu from that Venomoth, but we're seeing the boss's orders. The exact same strategy we've seen in both of our games so far here from Jake. Bringing up that Mareep, sticking it in the active, spreading around these damage counters with that Radiant Alakazam.
Yep.
Things are working here for this Venomoth.
And Connor is with this threatening game pretty soon. There's a lot of damage built up on that Raikou V. 240. It only has 10 HP left. He just needs to Alakazam the damage over, and then would only have one prize left, would be able to use Spidops to take the knockout on the Mareep. And Connor sees the writing on the wall, concedes. We're going to game 3. Jake, you are getting a win with the Venomoth Spidops deck. Wow, Boo, would not have expected this.